नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरतिषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So we are discussing on Bhagavad-Gita chapter 15 entitled the Yoga of the Supreme or puruṣottamaḥ Yoga, and today we are discussing text number 18. So first we will recite the verse. Yasmāt kṣaram atītoḥam akṣarād puruṣottamaḥ atosmi loke vede ca prathitaḥ puruṣottamaḥ. Word for word meaning. Yasmāt, because. Kṣaram, to the fallible. Atītaḥ, transcendental. Aham, I am. Akṣarād, beyond the infallible. Api, also. Cha, and. Uttamaḥ, the best. Ataḥ, therefore. Asmi, I am. Loke, in the world. Vede, in the Vedic literature. Cha, and. Prathitaḥ, celebrated. Puruṣa-uttamaḥ, as the Supreme Personality. So we read the Vedic scriptures. The purpose is that we develop a deeper understanding about Krishna consciousness, about the goal of life. And there is another very important aspect of reading the Vedic scriptures, especially the devotional scriptures, Bhagavad-Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, that it is an opportunity to associate with pure devotee and with the Supreme Lord. And in fact, the association of the Lord and the pure devotees is non-different if we are personally associating with their words. So this is called Shabd Brahma, or Brahma which has incarnated in the form of sound vibration. So actually, for the age of Kali Yuga especially, and for every age, this Shabd Brahma is, we can say it's like a blessing for us, because we are personally associating with the Lord. We are given that opportunity. So if we are little bit conscious about this, then it will bring great joy to the heart that we are personally associating with the Lord and His devotees. So we'll read the translation. Because I am transcendental, beyond both the fallible and the infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as that Supreme Person. So please repeat the translation. Because I am transcendental, beyond both the fallible and the infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as that Supreme Person. So, we'll first complete the purport also. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. No one can surpass the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, neither the conditioned soul nor the liberated soul. He is therefore the greatest of personalities. Now it is clear here that the living entities and the Supreme Personality of Godhead are individuals. The difference is that the living entities, either in the conditioned state or in the liberated state, cannot surpass in quantity the inconceivable potencies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is incorrect to think of the Supreme Lord and the living entities as being on the same level or equal in all respects. There is always the question of superiority and inferiority between their personalities. The word uttama is very significant. No one can surpass the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The word loke signifies in the puruṣa-uttamaḥ, the Smriti scriptures. So the loke word signifies the Smriti scriptures. As confirmed in the Nirukti dictionary, lokyate vedartho nena, the purpose of the Vedas is explained by the Smriti scriptures. So sometimes those who are very rigid follower of the Vedas, so-called rigid follower of the Vedas, they disregard the Smriti scriptures and they give importance only to the Shruti scriptures. But here it is said that the Smriti scriptures, they explain the purpose of the Vedas, something which is not understandable directly by reading Shruti scriptures. It is elaborated in the Smriti scriptures. The Supreme Lord, in his localized aspect of Paramatma, is also described in the Vedas themselves. The following verse appears in the Vedas, Chandogya Upanishad 8.12.3. Tavadesha samprasado smaj sharirat samuthaya param jyoti rupam sampadya svena rupena bhinishpadyate sa uttamah puruṣah. The super soul coming out of the body enters the impersonal Brahmajyoti, then in his form he remains in his spiritual identity. That Supreme is called the Supreme Personality. So, this means that the Supreme Personality is exhibiting and diffusing his spiritual effulgence, which is the ultimate illumination. That Supreme Personality also has a localized aspect as Paramatma. By incarnating himself as the son of Satyavati and Parashar, he explains the Vedic knowledge as Vyasadeva. So, this chapter 15, which is entitled Puruṣottamaḥ Yoga, is in many sense very, very important to remove all the misconceptions, especially which is very much prominent in India for ages, that we wrongly think that the living entity and the Supreme Lord, they are on the same level. Because the general conception is that when the living entity, right now it is in the conditioned state, and when it is liberated, it merges into the Supreme Brahman, and ultimately it becomes Supreme Brahman. That is a conception, that living entity loses its individuality and it becomes Supreme Brahman. So, and that is the conception of even many, many great scholars who are sometimes quite kind at heart, but still they are not fortunate enough to come to the right conclusion, and that is a, you can say, great misfortune. But, and to propagate this philosophy, they take help of Bhagavad-Gita only and the Upanishads, that the living entity and the Supreme Lord are on the same level. They quote various scriptures, but because the Bhagavad-Gita can only be understood by the devotees, by hearing from the devotees, not by independent study, therefore they are not able to come to the right conclusion even after reading Bhagavad-Gita again and again, many times. Because as Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad-Gita, that this is Raj Vidya Raj Guhyam Rahasyam Etad Uttamam, that the book is open for everyone. Anyone can purchase Bhagavad-Gita, but still Lord Krishna is saying it as Raj Guhyam. And this was a great question in my mind for many years, that why Bhagavad-Gita is considered Guhyam, secret knowledge, although it is so open. But as we meet people who have read Bhagavad-Gita many times, and we hear from them the conclusion, it's very astonishing that they are not able to come to the right conclusion, although they are very scholarly. So, therefore, the message of the Bhagavad-Gita cannot be revealed to everyone and anyone. It can only be revealed to those who are devoted to the Supreme Lord and who have no envy for the Lord, and who hear Bhagavad-Gita from the devotee of the Lord. So only then the message of Bhagavad-Gita can be revealed. And many times people consider Bhagavad-Gita to be an elementary book in devotional service also. So although Bhagavad-Gita is an elementary book, but it is the most sublime knowledge also. Because the Bhagavad-Gita is revealed to the devotees according to their faith in the spiritual master and the Supreme Lord. So that is stated in I think Shvetashvatar Upanishad. Yasya deve para bhaktir yatha deve tatha guru tasyet kathita hi artha prakashante mahatmana. Same Bhagavad-Gita. If a new devotee reads, he will get an elementary knowledge. same Bhagavad-Gita, if a devotee with some mediocre faith, he will read, he may get a little bit advanced knowledge. And same Bhagavad-Gita, when it is read by the Paramhamsa devotees, they get the mellow of devotional relationship with Krishna from reading the same Bhagavad-Gita. So, because Bhagavad-Gita is not simply an academic book, Bhagavad-Gita is actually a personality. And how we approach Bhagavad-Gita, Srimad Bhagavad-Gita, it reveals to us according to our approach. Same, because Bhagavad-Gita is a personality. So, in South India there was a Brahman who was not very literate, and he was reading Bhagavad-Gita, trying to read Bhagavad-Gita, and his fellow Brahmans, they were seeing that this man is illiterate and still he is trying to read Bhagavad-Gita. So they were laughing at him that this person is trying to read Bhagavad-Gita. Just see, we are scholars in Bhagavad-Gita, we are reading the verses so fluently. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was touring South India that time, and he saw this scene, and he saw that the Brahman is trying to read without caring for others, what they are doing and why they are laughing at him. And another thing which Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu noticed in that Brahman is that this Brahman is crying tears, and that was surprising immediately, because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could understand these tears are not because of the insult. The tears are not because of the insult. The tears are the tears of ecstasy. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he asked that Brahman that, why are you reading Bhagavad-Gita when you are illiterate? So Brahman replied that my Guru Maharaj, he ordered me to read Srimad Bhagavad-Gita every day. So I am trying to read. And my Guru Maharaj knows that I am illiterate. Still he has ordered me to read Bhagavad-Gita. Therefore I am reading Bhagavad-Gita. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understood. Okay. Then he asked the next question to the Brahman. Okay, I can understand that your Guru Maharaj has ordered you, but why are you crying tears? What is that? You are not able to read, but why are you crying tears? So the Brahman said that when I am taking Bhagavad Gita in my hand, the scene is appearing before my eyes that the Supreme Lord Krishna, who is the master of all the universes, Jagannath, and everyone is at his command, he is taking the position of a chariot driver of his friend Arjun, his devotee, sitting at his feet, the Supreme Lord. So seeing such merciful Lord, I am unable to control my tears. So therefore tears are coming from my eyes. So when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this, so he embraced, the Supreme Lord embraced him. This is amazing. That the Supreme Lord himself embraced that Brahman and invoked him, the highest love of Godhead in that Brahman. And he said that you have actually understood Bhagavad Gita. So we can see from this example, this is a very, very important incident to meditate upon, that the Brahman was illiterate, still he was embraced by the Supreme Lord, and he was showing the symptoms of ecstasy just by touching the Bhagavad Gita. So these are the highest devotional ecstasies, and the Brahman is simply experiencing by touching the Bhagavad Gita. Is it by touching the Bhagavad Gita simply? No. The root is his faith on the words of his spiritual master. That is a root. And of course the Supreme Lord. So to the degree one has this faith in the words of the spiritual master and the Supreme Lord, the Vedic scriptures, they reveal themselves unto the heart of that person. So that is a process. Actually, I heard this in one lecture by His Holiness Bhakti Brihad I am just forgetting the name. Bhakti Brihad Bhagavat Swami Maharaj. Yes. So he said, he quoted the incident of Srila Prabhupada. And the incident was that one devotee, he asked Srila Prabhupada that, Srila Prabhupada, which is the most important verse of the Vedic scriptures? And devotee was quite confident. So he, before that Srila Prabhupada could reply, he himself quoted, Prabhupada, is it Harer Namev, Harer Namev, Harer Namev Kevalam, Kalau Nastev, Nastev, Nastev Gatiranyatha? Is it this verse? Then Srila Prabhupada paused for some time, looked at him and said, no. The most important verse of the Vedic scriptures is, Yasya Deve Para Bhakti, Yatha Deve Tatha Guru, Tasyet Kathit Hi Artha, Prakashante Mahatmana. So, because many people, they chant the holy names of the Lord, they read the Vedic scriptures for years and years. Still, their realizations and their commitment to the service of the Lord is quite shallow. And even sometimes they are misguided also, although chanting the same Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Why? What is the reason? Because the faith is lacking on the word of the Lord. This faith is something which guides us on the right track. This faith, when the Lord sees in the heart as Paramatma, this faith in the heart of a practitioner, He never allows the practitioner to go astray. The Lord always corrects such sincere devotees. So this is very important when we are studying Bhagavad-Gita. And we should have faith that this Bhagavad-Gita can award the highest realization, even up to the extent of the realization of the Braj Bhakti, Gopis. So sometimes many people, they say that Srila Prabhupada did not give the highest thing. I recently read the quote which is quoted in the morning time, where Srila Prabhupada says that he answers in a letter to somebody. In the letters he says that you don't have to read the scriptures which are dealing with the pastimes of the gopis and relation of Krishna with gopis. That information is not required right now. In the beginning, you have to follow the basic principles, chanting Hare Krishna, following the orders of the spiritual master, like cleaning the temple, reading Bhagavad-Gita. These things you have to follow with faith and diligence. And gradually the higher things will be revealed in the heart. They will not come by reading simply. But the main thing is that if we do the basic things with faith which Prabhupada has given, all the higher knowledge will be revealed in the heart. Everything is there in the books of Srila Prabhupada. Because the standard of pure devotional service is that a devotee do not want anything for himself, even his spiritual advancement. That is not also the concern for a devotee. That is a blockage actually. If we are always thinking that how will I advance spiritually, that is a blockage. What we have to think? We have to think that how can I serve the orders of my Guru Maharaj? How can I serve the mission of Srila Prabhupada? That should be the thought process. So that thought process will remove all these blockages, because the nature of the soul is to serve the Supreme Lord selflessly, without any expectation in return. Even the Supreme, that's what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in the last verse, that Ashila Shiva Padratam Pinashtumam, that whether the Lord you embrace me or you kick me, I am your unconditional servant. I always remain your unconditional servant. So, therefore, a devotee, he is ready to go anywhere, and we have great examples actually. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada says that before reading the 10th canto, we should first go through the 9 cantos. 9 cantos of the Bhagavad-Gita. So, what is there in the 9 cantos? We have the pastime of Vritrasur. We have the pastime of Bhishma Pitama. So, in Vritrasur pastime, which is considered one of the very important pastime without which Bhagavatam is not complete, Srimad Bhagavatam. So, King Chitraketu, he was cursed to become a demon, and he was ready happily to become a demon. He did not saw that curse as an impediment in his devotional service. King Chitraketu, he said to Mother Parvati that I had no wrong intention, but if you curse me to become a demon, I am happily ready to become a demon. Please give me your blessings. And when Lord Shiva saw this mood and attitude of Maharaj Chitraketu, he replied in that famous verse that Narayana Parasarve Na Kutaschana Bibhyati, that the great devotees of the Lord Narayan, they have such qualities that they are not fearful even going to hell, for going to hell. They are ready to go anywhere. They are fearless devotees of the Narayan, Lord Narayan. And this is a very important characteristic of a devotee. So, why we discussed this point from the root is that if you want to understand Bhagavad-Gita, we have to have that faith that this is the highest transcendental knowledge, and the words of the spiritual master Srila Prabhupada are sufficient to elevate us to the highest standard of devotional service. Because elevation does not take place by academic scholarship or simply reading. Elevation takes place by a dedicated attitude to the service of the Guru Parampara. That is the highest elevation. And that is the spirit of the gopis. A very important comment of Srila Prabhupada we see in Vrindavan quite often, that many people, they dress themselves in the female dress. They wear saris, the male people, they wear saris, and they think that by wearing saris they have become gopis, they have reached the highest standard. They think like that. It's quite astonishing, and Srila Prabhupada comments very interestingly on that. In one comment, Srila Prabhupada smashes. Sometimes even devotees, when they see such things, they also get a little doubt whether this process is really working or what. There may be many people are doing like this. Why they are doing? And the leaders, their leaders, they present it in such a way that they are mesmerized. People are mesmerized. So Srila Prabhupada comments, he says that these people, they are dressing themselves as gopis, thinking that Lord Krishna is such a fool that he will not understand whether they are male or female. No? So they are thinking that by dressing as female they will become gopis and Lord Krishna will not understand that. So Lord Krishna knows. By dressing yourself externally, you cannot change your identification, your attitude, your elevation. That is not the mood. The mood is expressed in Bhagavad-Gita, chapter 2, text 41. That mood is, I am just forgetting that verse. Let us see. Yes. Vyavasayatmika buddhi eke hi kurunandana bahusakha hi anantascha buddhayo avyasayinam. So this is the verse. Srila Prabhupada says that when I first time read the commentary of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur on this verse, I was convinced that I have to execute the order of my Guru Maharaj. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, because Srila Prabhupada, he was little bit hesitant whether he should go, he will be able to do. So when Srila Prabhupada says, when I read this verse, the commentary, where Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says very explicitly that one should make the order of his spiritual master as one's life and soul, as one's mission in life. So Srila Prabhupada says, when I read that commentary, all my doubts were dispelled. And I became convinced that now I have to propagate the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is the mood of the gopis actually. They are completely dedicated to the service of the Lord. They do not have any other motives. When Narad Muni, once Lord Krishna is told to Narad, he said Narad Muni that I have a headache and I need the dust of lotus feet of my devotee to remove that headache. So the Narad Muni, he went to various devotees, and Narad Muni himself was afraid. He was saying that how can I give my dust? And he went to many devotees and they could not give the dust. And then at last he went to the gopis, and when gopis heard that Krishna need the dust, they immediately scratched the dust from their legs and gave it to Narad Muni. And Narad Muni said, what are you doing? Are you not afraid that if you put the dust of your feet on the head of Krishna, then you will go to hell? It is such an offense. Then the gopis said that we know that we will go to hell, but we do not care. If by applying the dust of our feet, the headache of Krishna is removed even for a second, we are ready to go to hell for eternity. So sometimes we think that Guru Maharaj has given this order, but the results are very temporary. After some time, things will deteriorate. So why should we foolishly take this step? We should take long-lasting step. But here the gopis are saying, even if the headache of Krishna is removed temporarily, 1 second, we are ready to go to hell for eternity. So there is no consideration of gain and loss. So here Lord Krishna, he is actually saying that yasmāt kṣaram atīto, that there are two kinds of living entities. In the previous verses Lord Krishna said that the fallible and the infallible, which refers to those living entities which are living in the material world, conditioned living entities, and liberated living entities, those who are in the spiritual world. And Lord Krishna is saying there is another supreme soul which is superior to both of them. Yasmāt kṣaram atīto. Okay, so the Mayavad or impersonal conception is that when you become liberated, you become one with the Supreme Lord. But here clearly Lord Krishna is saying that even in the liberated state I am superior to those. They are not equal to me, even those liberated ones. I am superior. So there is no question of merging in the liberated state also. Clearly Bhagavad-Gita says this. So Lord Krishna in this chapter clearly is saying that to both liberated or conditioned, there is another living entity or the supreme living entity who is superior to both of them. And that is I am. Yasmāt kṣaram atīto. I am transcendental to both fallible and infallible. I am the greatest. I am celebrated in both the worlds and in the Vedas as that supreme person. So Lord Krishna is giving many hints that there are two worlds, the spiritual world and the material world, and there are living entities in both worlds, in the spiritual and material, and I am superior to both of them. It is not that you practice something and when you become liberated, merge in Brahman, then you become one with me. No. Still I am the Supreme. You will always remain subordinate to Lord Krishna, that Supreme Person. And Lord Krishna is expressing that is Puruṣottamaḥ. Puruṣottamaḥ means Purush means person, and Uttama, Tam means darkness, and Uttama means one who has transcended the darkness. So this material world is Tama, and Lord Krishna is beyond this material world, Uttama, and he is a supreme person, Puruṣottamaḥ. Okay, so that is a status of the Lord, Puruṣottamaḥ. Now Srila Prabhupada mentions the Chandogya Upanishad, that here it is mentioned in the Chandogya Upanishad that when the living entity he leaves the body and merges into the Brahman, then the super soul which is there, it leaves that body and it goes to the Brahman effulgence, who is the source, super soul. So we have heard this, that the Paramatma feature is only there in the material world, and that I have heard, not very clearly. But in the spiritual world, where in the planets, spiritual planets, there is no requirement for the Lord to expand as Paramatma, because another feature of the living entities of the spiritual world is explained that they are one with the purpose of Lord. The oneness is there, but that oneness is of the purpose. That purpose is to serve the Lord and to give pleasure to the Lord. That is the only purpose of all the living entities in the spiritual world. So therefore there is no requirement for the Lord to expand himself as Paramatma, because there is no chance for the living entities to get lost from the track. Why Lord Krishna has expanded himself as Paramatma? Because we have lost the track, and he is there with us in all the species of life to guide us and to bring us on the right track. That is the only reason, which in the Kathopanishad it is stated that the two birds are on the same tree, and one bird is trying to enjoy the fruit and another bird is simply witnessing and waiting that when this bird will turn toward me so that I can bring him to the right path. So that is stated there. And at the end, Srila Prabhupada mentions that the Supreme Personality also has a localized aspect as Paramatma. By incarnating himself as the son of Satyavati and Parashar, he explains the Vedic knowledge as Vyasdev. So, why Srila Prabhupada has mentioned this last line about Vyasdev, it appears little bit out of the context. That why suddenly Srila Prabhupada has mentioned the incarnation of Vyasdev, because here we are talking about Paramatma. So the Lord in this verse at the end he is saying, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as that supreme person. So Lord is talking about three things: the material world, the spiritual world, and the Vedas. So therefore Srila Prabhupada has mentioned this thing, that the Vedas, they are also written by an incarnation of the Lord, who is Srila Ved Vyas. So Srila Prabhupada is saying, by incarnating himself as the son of Satyavati, he explains the Vedic knowledge as Vyasdev. So therefore he is glorified or worshipped in the Vedas also. So this was the purport for today. So if there are any comments or questions, yes.
Prabhu, as you were giving the example
Yes.
How he could not understand
Yes.
the Lord's activities which he wanted to do.
Yes.
How he was bewildered.
Yes.
Sometimes we see in the devotees of the Lord, but they are bewildered, just like demigods, they are also devotee of the Lord, but they are bewildered. How God make him bewildered in this way?
Yes, yes. So these are the inconceivable pastimes of the Lord. Arjun became bewildered, Parikshit Maharaj became bewildered. So when the devotees they become bewildered, they are not bewildered by the material energy or Mahamaya, they are bewildered by the Yog Maya potency. And there is a purpose, a specific purpose for such bewilderment. Because Lord has some specific purpose, some specific pastimes. So in this pastime, certainly I wanted to make this point, but I did not make it. So certainly all these devotees, they are dedicated to the Lord. There is no doubt. But the Lord wants to show the greatness of the gopis through these pastimes. And therefore the devotees are acting in that way. And it, in any way it do not decrease their status of devotional service. All of them are completely dedicated, but still there is some elevation in the mellows, in terms of mellows of devotional service, that is madhurya and this thing sakhya, vatsalya. So these gradations are there in the spiritual realm. And in this case, the Lord is showing that the devotion of the gopis is highest by that bewilderment. So we should take it in that way, that the Lord wants to show, the purpose is that he wants to show the what is the highest standard of the devotional service, and why gopis they are at that level, why they are at the highest. Surely gopis are at the highest level. All the authorities are worshipping, but this is a graphic example.
Example of that Avatam, we should start from very beginning after 9 10.
Yes.
So, but we see in the temple we are reading 10 10. So, a neophyte person comes, he listens to the 10 10. He doesn't go through one. So, what you recommend about those devotees who are neophyte, they come and listen to the 10 10 one. What should be done for them and how they should be given opportunity to understand that 10 10?
Yes. So whatever the goes classes are there in the temple, as long as they are given by the mature devotees of the Lord, they can reveal the information of the 10th canto also according to the level of different devotees, even new devotees. So they are surely benefited as long as they are hearing from the mature devotees in the association of devotees. So there is no harm. There is no harm. They will be benefited. But along with that, if they are fortunate enough, they should have the fortune to take guidance from some devotee, regular devotee, from whom they can take regular guidance. So if they are fortunate, then that will be good for them. But there is no harm surely, because if they are hearing in association, independent study is harmful. If independently somebody is trying to study 10th canto, that may be harmful. Bhakti?
Bhakti, Bhakt, Bhagwan, Guru.
Yes. So there are two aspects of discrimination in the spiritual field, the two criterias are, one is the philosophical way, tattva, and second is mellow or ras. Okay, so tattva and ras, mellow. So if you go according to the tattva, then certainly there is gradation. Supreme Lord is the highest of all. And when we go on the level of mellow or ras, then on that level all of them are same, equal level. Because sometimes even the devotees are at higher level in terms of the mellow. And in devotional, in Braj, highest devotional realm, actually mellow is the thing which gives pleasure to the Lord and his devotees. But the foundation is the tattva. They are not sahajiya. The foundation is tattva, that I am the servant of the Lord, and on that foundation all other mellows are based. Is that true?
In Ramayana, Tulsidas spoke that Janai soy jiste ho janai, janai tum hi ho jai. He said that when you know the Lord, then you are at the same level.
Yes. So that we also sing every day, Sakshad Haritvena. So this is amazing verse, you can see. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is explaining both the things, the mellow and the tattva, in the same verse. He is saying Sakshad Haritvena Samasta Shastre, that Guru is on the same level, is to be worshipped on the same level as Hari. But in the next line he is explaining the tattva. Kintu prabhorya priya eva tasya vande Guru Shri Charnarvindam. That the Guru should be worshipped on the same level, but with the understanding that Guru is the most confidential servant of the Lord. Both things are explained in the same. This is amazing. That's why Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he offers this boon, that those devotees who will recite this Guru Ashtakam in the Brahm Muhurat every day loudly, they will go back home, back to Godhead. That is a boon by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Falshruti. So we thank all the devotees very much. Hare Krishna. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavad-Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki